public holiday in the Cote d'Ivoire yesterday, so the markets were closed there. The BRVM 10 index closing in the previous session up 3.7% at 225 points. And for the BRVM composite, that gained 3.2% at 202 points. The currency currently trading at 513 CFA francs to the US dollar. Moving on to Ghana, with DT, that market tick up moderately, about 0.2%, closing at 1,842 points for the GSC composite, while the GSC financial stock index closed at 1,621 points, up about 0.3%. Moving on to the CD seen some pressure there recently. We've seen it now trading at 1.99 CD to the US dollar, so it's down about 4% for the year. And moving on to Nigeria, we saw the Nigerian all-share index down about 0.2% to 30. But in the context of that, we did still see Unilever gain about 9%, PZ, Cousins, Guinness, Northern Nigerian Flour Mills, and Lafarge Wapco also among the gainers. But on the laggards, we did see Dangote Cement. Usually when it does fall down, we see some pressure on the NSE index. That was down about 2%, while Nestle also fell back about 5%. Let's now cross to Stanbic IBTC, where Dolapo Akanni is standing by to give us an update on the market and to share her views on where it's going. Dolapo, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. So like I did mention, the market falling back slightly yesterday, really on the back of the pressure we saw in Dangote Cement. And one needs to really keep tracking Dangote Cement. It's up about 40% for the year. One gets the sense that whenever it moves, the index moves in the same direction. Your thoughts about how well it's likely to hold up over the rest of the year?
Okay, good morning, Wale, and thank you for having me today. Looking at where the market was by Friday last week, market had gained in total 31.14%. And it's actually expected that some level of profit taking should cripple into the market, and we saw that happen yesterday. Looking at the big counters like Dangote Cement and Nigerian Breweries lost point yesterday. Even like in Nestle, one of the big counters as well, we saw some flows came into the market, and that would continue really looking at where the market is already. Because last year market returned 34.45%, and already this year market had returned 31.15%. So we expect some level of profit taking to cripple into the market, and that should continue into the week.
But do you think we would see that profit taking continue in Dangote Cement in particular? Because like I did mention, it has such a huge bearing on this market and the direction of the market.
Yeah, valuation is still supporting that price, but Dangote Cement is already nearing the pricing that we have as from analyst point of view. So we expect it to soften a bit. We expect some flows, to start coming into the market. People that have gained about 40% on that stock should look at, selling some of it. So we expect some flows to come into the market.
All right, let's talk about the downstream petroleum marketing sector. Oando, of course, is the big player in that space. We're expecting results from Oando hopefully sometime this week. Let's talk through your expectations for that. Let's start with Oando and your thoughts about where the shares are trading right now and what we can expect from those numbers.
Okay, we are very bullish on Oando. Oando closed at 1550 yesterday, and it went down to 1510 on Friday. We still feel there's high potential for Oando to grow. I'm looking at where the company is coming from. We expect the FY12 and the Q113 results to come into the market before the end of the week. And the expectation really is for the sales growth of about 16% year on year, and quarter on quarter, quarter 113 to grow by 25.25%. And even aside that, some of the catalysts that we expect should help Oando in reaching the target price of 22 naira that we've set for it is number one, we expect because of the hike in PMS price at the beginning of the year, we expect growth in earnings by 16% year on year, as I've said, and 25.5% quarter on quarter, quarter 113. Then at the same time, we expect the acquisition of ConocoPhillips asset to be concluded before the end of September 2013. Yeah. We also expect the company also to increase in the downstream. The downstream really should contribute 90% to the earnings this year, while the upstream should contribute 6% to earnings this year as well. Okay. And aside that, for Oando again, we're expecting DPS of 1 naira 9 kobo. We won't be surprised if the company, come out and pay a little below that, because they will need to retain some earning for capital acquisition. All right, so we're still very bullish on the stock, and we expect investors to see that and invest in it. All right,
so bullish on that stock. But what about the rest of the sector? I think a lot of people are skeptical about the sector in particular, given the pressures that they tend to to experience with the payments of subsidies in the past. So your thoughts about the other counters in that space? Maybe we can start with the likes of Total and MRS.
Yeah, for Total, we still have a buy recommendation. We have a target price of 200 naira, and so there's still upside in that. Investors that looking at that should actually try to invest at these current levels. Then also in Mobile, we have a sell recommendation that has been there. The Q1 result that was released to the market this quarter was a bit soft because of they actually returned lower interest earnings. So we expect that to affect the pricing, and analysts have a sell recommendation for that.
Right. What about the other players in that space? We do have Mobile, of course. Your thoughts on that stock?
Yeah, I've actually mentioned Mobile. We have a sell recommendation for that.
Okay.
We don't see any huge surge.